Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining Beauty Beyond the Ashes podcast, where we talk all things forgiveness, restoration, freedom, healing, and wholeness, so that we can walk into our calling and purpose with courage and boldness. I am your host, Tanya B. Jones. Listen, it is April, and as I said last week, it is Abortion Recovery Awareness Month. And as promised to you all, I said that I had two beauty conversations that I would bring to you. And this young lady that I have today is phenomenal. I adore her. She has gone through the Daughters Hope Abortion Recovery Program, and here she is, here to share her testimony with you all. And I am delighted to bring this to you all. Listen, I told you all last week how important it is for people to be aware that abortion recovery is a real thing, that abortion recovery takes a woman from being shackled to shame and just unable to discuss a subject to being free enough to come on a podcast and discuss it. Listen, this is an amazing work and I'm excited about it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my guest. Her name is Amber Martinez, and she is a member of my church, New Life Church International, which is where she heard about Daughters Hope program. She is a medical biller for a local pediatric center. She is engaged to be married, and I'm so excited about that. She serves as a faithful servant in our children's ministry, and this is what she says. She says, I am passionate about becoming an advocate for women of all ages who have experienced abortion. My goal is to create a safe and supportive space where women feel seen, heard, and no longer alone in their journey. I pray that through sharing my testimony, I can inspire courage in others to step out of hiding and begin their path toward healing and restoration. I'm telling y'all, when a woman heals from the wounds of abortion, this is what you get. You get this passion and this burning to step out and do what you thought you would never be able to do. So I want to bring this young lady to you all. Listen, welcome with me, the amazing, the beautiful, the little petite, but big in spirit, Amber Martinez. Welcome to the podcast, Amber.
Oh, it's so good to finally be doing this. It's a moment.
Yes. So I'm excited that you gave your yes in so many ways, right? We know that this is Abortion Recovery Month, so we're going to have a wonderful beauty conversation about recovery and where you are now. But before we do that, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about Amber?
So I am on this journey. I started this journey last year with Miss Tanya, of course. I am a volunteer at church. I serve in the nursery. I work at a doctor's office and I'm a medical biller. I love what I do. I get to be around kids and their different personalities every single day. So it's just, it definitely ties in to what we'll be talking about today. So I'm so super excited to finally be doing this.
I am too. Listen, y'all, Amber is about, what are you, 4'2"?
Don't cut my inches off, Miss Tanya.
So she's just, every time I see her at church on Sunday, she comes up to me and hugs me. Hey, Miss Tanya. And she's like way down here. She's just so precious and so cute. And I love her to pieces. And I'm so proud of her for giving her yes. And not just this yes, but the yes from way back, before we started the recovery program. But, to go through the recovery program, there's a process that, we went through to get the injury, to be wounded, and that's the choice of abortion. And that's why we're here. We want to, just kind of share a little bit about your own personal story. So why don't you, start from the beginning and tell us a little bit about, how this all came where we even needed to go through the process of recovery.
So about in 2022, I was freshly going into college. I started at McNeese. It was my first semester. Just being a teenager and going out into the world with no kind of guidance, really, I could say. And, my life, I had grew up in church, but it was something, kind of, we go to church on Sundays, every Sunday. It wasn't going to church on Tuesdays, it was just kind of we're going to church. We weren't learning about Jesus at home much. And so I wouldn't say a personal relationship with God at the time, but I definitely knew, the bits and pieces that would have helped me a lot more than, like, if I knew what I knew now, it would have prevented so much then. But, being at that age, it kind of, especially in college, it's very difficult. And I felt like I had a lot of responsibility on my shoulders. My dad is from Honduras, so like my family, they don't get to experience that college life, especially at a university. So I had a lot of pressure on me. And I had got pregnant on accident with someone that I had no intentions of being with, like long term. It was a thing that had happened, and I was being careless, I will admit, and take responsibility for that. And so there was a point of not knowing what to do. My parents didn't know. I think the only person that really knew was like my brother. And I told my stepsister towards the end, but I told her towards more so of the end of me making my abortion decision. I felt like I had nobody really, because I didn't want anybody to be disappointed. I was still young. I had just started college. And so there was a lot of in and outs of just trying to make a right decision. And always knew that abortion was, wrong. Like, I never thought that it would be me. But when you don't think it could be you, it is you. And so me and the father of this child had talked about, what would happen, what our life would look like. And he was not ready to settle down whatsoever. I was dealing with threats. I was dealing with narcissism and just cheating and lies. And, so it was like, okay, what do I do now? And I had nobody to go to. I had no resources. I had no awareness of the resources that were around me, because this is not something that is talked about enough, So last minute, I decided, because in the state of Louisiana, you can't have an abortion. I decided last minute to get a rental car, and I had someone drive me all the way to, I believe, Oklahoma to receive this abortion. And like I said, the decision was very last minute. It was not something that I planned to do. It was not something that I wanted to do. Ever since I was young, I always knew that I would be a mom. I would be a wife and a mother. That is something that I've always looked forward to as a little girl. I couldn't wait to get married. and just have kids running around all over the place. Like, that is just something that I deeply desired. But because it was not God's way, and I was at a level of immaturity and, no direction, it was kind of hard. So, yeah.
That your story it echoes so many other stories, including mine. We're young and are faced with this decision, and we don't have the proper background, we don't have the proper support, we don't have the proper knowledge to even make an informed decision. So we make a decision out of panic, out of fear, out of the unknown, especially when you don't have anybody that like can talk you through the truth about it. And we don't know about like ABC Pregnancy Resource Center that gives you all of this information, that gives you resources, that gives you options. And if no one takes you and walks you over there, or, the first thing that we hear is the solution is to just get rid of it.
Yes, I like you said, I've never, until I met you, I didn't know that ABC Pregnancy Center offered all of the things that they do. And it was kind of like, oh my goodness, like, where was this at when I needed it, because that could have made such a difference, such an impact, But I believe this happening and me being the person to experience this, it still matters. It still changes, the testimony of somebody else in the future.
And I always say that, like, what we go through is not for us. It's going to be a testimony that we give to help someone else. And one of the things I told you when we first talked is I was so proud of you that you're like only maybe 2 years out from your abortion experience. 3 years? Four, 2002. 4 years, which is still recent, right?
It's still fresh, but I'm glad that I decided to choose God and choose the healing process now rather than later on down the line in my life.
Yeah. And decades. I mean, many of us carry it for decades and decades. And when I found out that it was only in recent years, like less than 5 years, I was so happy that God impressed upon your heart, But how about tell us, this is what I want you to answer. What was going on that made you, after your abortion is over, what was life like that made you like that I need to seek some help, or what was going on that you needed changed?
After the abortion process, immediately when I got back into Louisiana, I didn't know what to do. I was overcome by this like amount of grief and just like guilt, because it was like, what did I just do? Did I make the right decision? It's like all these questions just you're asking yourself. And I literally was having nightmares every single night. Like, I wasn't eating, I was working to the point to where I would go to work and come home just to go to sleep. Like, I was not living outside of that. I was carrying this grief that nobody around me knew about. Like, I remember going to my family's for New Year's Eve, and this was literally maybe like 4 days after I had my abortion, and just having to fake, being happy, like put a fake smile on and just don't let anybody know that you just did this, because what will they think of you? And the enemy will do that. Like, he will sit there and put lies in your head. And like I said, at the time, I did not have a relationship with God And it was very difficult to understand like what I was going through. And so I was in like a cycle of just all of these negative things. And so finally, like, and carrying around anger. And so what I was doing is I was just pushing it back to the point to where if I pushed it back enough, I'd just like leave it alone. But it got to a point to where if I would see babies in public or just children in general, like this overwhelming sadness came over and like anger. And it was just like, okay, something's wrong. Like something's wrong here. And so for about, I would say, a year and a half, 2 years, I carried that for a while and I was in deep isolation. Nobody around me really knew what was going on. The way I was, as far as in personality, I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. And so I would say I was walking down a path of just not wanting to be here, you know? And that's a hard thing to like hear, like looking back, like, you know, it, the enemy tried to confuse you so much that you just wanted to give it all up and just not be here, you know? So that's when I would say January of last year, Anthony finally brought it to my attention. Anthony is my fiance. He finally brought it to my attention. You know, he was seeing how it was affecting me because he was about one of the few people that I have told before I came out and shared my testimony. And he noticed that pain that I was carrying. You know, he noticed that if I seen a commercial on TV or a billboard sign regarding abortion, like I would just like get in this whole mood and I shut off completely. And he was like, you know, you're not the only one at our church that has experienced and been through this. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he was like, you'll see. And so the next day I go to work and he sends me a podcast of you and Amber Guillory. And I was like, I sat there, I took my whole lunch break and then some. I was bawling, crying, because I was like, you know, like you would have never thought, just looking at you and Miss Amber, like I look up to y'all so much. Y'all are such an inspiration. I mean, the way y'all carry yourselves like women of God, like so beautiful, you know, graceful. It was just like, I would have never thought that these women went through the same thing as me. So yeah, that's why I say this is such a full circle moment, is because now, like a year later, like here I am sharing my testimony, and it was because I finally decided like enough was enough.
And I remember when you came up to me, and the beauty of it is God is so intentional, right? This was like January, February of last year, and we were starting our spring Forgiven and Set Free Bible study in March. And you came up to me and you were like, I need to talk to you about something, you know, and even that step is difficult. Like, so you had to be ready, you know, there was something that you knew you needed to even take that step in the church.
And it was something that was so still kind of fresh and sensitive. Like I could not talk about it without crying or like this, oh my gosh, like I would just cry and cry if I started talking about it. Like it was so hard for me. And so I remember texting Miss Amber, I think, first about it. And she was like, you definitely need to reach out to Miss Tanya. She's like, you can come to me, but you need to go to her. Like, that is who you need to be talking to. So at that point, I was like, and before me even trying to approach you, the enemy, of course, tried to, like, should you do that? Because I had just gotten saved. I got baptized in November of 2024 at New Life. I started going to church there, I believe, in like September, October, and I got saved in November. So leading up to that point, from November to January, the attacks were there, and they were mainly on what I was trying to heal from, So the enemy tried to talk me out of, oh, you shouldn't tell people, you shouldn't even tell her that, because but God was like, I've connected you to her for a reason. You're at this church for a reason. Not only are you at this church, but you are at a church with two other ladies three, I think. Three other ladies that have experienced this, have gone through this. So that gave me so much comfort and peace that I was like, okay, let's do it.
And I am still just so proud of you. And like, you were in the class, of course, the Bible study is very deep, and it digs into some deep places, and it's hard work, but you stayed the course. And we went through the Bible study, and there's a lot that you dig up surrounding the abortion. It's not just the abortion that comes up. We know that that's the centerpiece, but there are supporting things, supporting people that come up. And I'm just still so blown away by how God has walked this out for you, like saving you and then turning around and getting you into this abortion recovery class through your fiance, of all people, right? He's listening to two ladies on a podcast talk about abortions, and it was just for you, right? And I remember just when the class first starts, and it's like that with all of the ladies, they come in and they're like, don't want to look at one another, like, not talking to one another. And by class 3, we're all hugging, and you guys are, laughing at one point and crying at another point and supporting one another, and just being there as the other shares their deep, intimate stories, and just loving on one another and seeing one another and yourself with compassionate eyes.
It was so amazing to see, because I believe I was the youngest in the group. And so it was so amazing to see the different stages. And looking back, it's like, you did what most cannot do at that soon. And it was like, it was so surreal in that moment. It was so like that was all God. That was all God. That wasn't, it was all timed perfectly. The people that he put in our group, the ladies that he put in our group, just seeing the different stages, I think it was just so amazing, and it all unfolded so beautifully, and we were able to just learn so much from each other, from our experience. And it was like feeling like I was isolated, to having a whole group of women just who you connect to, who see you and who are not judging you. So yeah, it was, I loved it so much. It was so great.
It's a sisterhood. It's a sisterhood because we still talk to one another. We still share with one another. We still support one another, right? Because it doesn't end after 9 weeks of Bible study. Like life still goes on. So, I invite all of you all, like, let's stick together. We send each other scriptures. We just support, send each other songs in the morning. And this is over a year ago that, we finished the Bible study. So I am just elated at what God has done, in your life. And here you are on a podcast, and for Abortion Recovery Awareness Month, to let everybody know that recovery is real, and healing is real, and it's needed, right?
I actually am looking at some notes from Faith Forward, and there is a quote that says, "I am an overcomer. I overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of my testimony."
Is that Revelations 12:11, I think?
To walk in victory, to walk in knowing that, I think one of the biggest things for me was once I finally accepted that God has forgiven me for my decision, it was time to forgive Amber. It was time to make sure Amber knew that that's not who you are anymore, and that doesn't define you or your future. God is so strategic with his timing and the people he uses, and I'm just glad that I can be a testimony to females younger than me, older than me, the same age. It doesn't matter. Like, if somebody else's life can be changed from this, like, I love it. I'm all for it because I want God to use me for this. There's a reason why I was able to come out of the shame and condemnation so early on, rather than it just overtake most of my life, and to the point to where I was like, okay, enough is enough. Like, I'm glad it happened how it happened, and the healing that has came with it, the peace and just the happiness and the comfort of knowing that God forgives you. He forgives you.
And he still loves you. And I always say our abortion did not abort our calling. It did not abort our purpose. And one of the things that was so beautiful is when you came to me and you were like, "Miss Tanya, I think I'm ready to give my testimony." I think half of me fell out in the floor because I was like, "Really?" And I knew that we were coming up on Abortion Recovery Awareness Month. And I'm like, okay, this is great. This is great. And then I talked to Pastor, and I told him it was Abortion Recovery Awareness Month. And he was like, I was like, what do you think about having a testimony on stage? And he was like, absolutely. I was like, okay, I have someone in mind who's ready to give their testimony. Let me find out and I'll let you know. So I want everyone to know that today is the first time that you have ever given your public testimony, and God is well pleased.
Oh, I can express how much happiness doing this. It just, oh my goodness, it's so full circle. Like, that's the word that comes. It's because, like, a year later, a year after, I went through the support group, and it's just like, it's finally happening. And I think the enemy tried to put fear that, because it's not talked about in the church a whole lot. It's, what will others think of me? And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if somebody in there doesn't agree with you, or judge you. It doesn't matter. As long as you know God has forgiven you and he still loves you, and you aren't doing this for them, you are doing this for God. And, I had to meditate on that for a while, because there's things that will try and sneak up and like tell you not to do it. And I was not having that, because it is time to share my testimony. It is time to help others and, be a stepping stone for somebody else, to potentially bring somebody else out of their hiding and condemnation. That's what you were for me. Like, and it could be somebody you would never think went through it. They have, and that's okay. We are human, and we do make mistakes before we are saved, before we give our lives to Jesus. Like, things happen, but I'm every day in awe of God's unconditional love. Like, I sit here sometimes and I'm just like, I had watched one of your podcast episodes a couple weeks ago, one of your newer ones, and it was just like, you just sit in it, and it's like, you really like love me unconditionally. Like, it's just so, oh my gosh, it makes me want to cry sometimes, because I'm like,
Yes.
oh my gosh, like, it's such an emotional thing in a good way. He is so merciful, and he's so good all the time, through the lows and the highs. Anything that we go through, he's right there with us, like right there next to us, and it's gonna be okay. Like, so yeah.
And I'm excited because on I think April 12th you will be giving your testimony at church and letting the Christian woman know that, hey, it's okay. It's okay. God loves you. If you have repented, if you have asked forgiveness, he has given you that. And now it's time to take one additional step, and that's the healing process, because we can be forgiven and know that we are forgiven, but we haven't yet fully embraced and walked into the healing that he offers us. So as we close, I would like for you to talk to that lady who's out there who has had an abortion. She could be a Christian woman, maybe she's not, but especially for us as Christians walking around with this shame, what would you tell them about reaching out to someone in an abortion recovery program?
I would say that staying in hiding and staying in the condemnation will affect you more long term than the happiness. Like, it's not worth the shame and the guilt and the grief, and it's not worth enough to carry it for so long. One of the biggest things for me was to know, because I was not saved during the process. And after I got saved, there was a lot of condemnation still, and a lot of guilt. And if you are saved and you are a Christian, it's God's plan for you to bring you out of something like this. It's meant for you to share for others, just like me. I'm helping someone in the process. So if your testimony can change someone else's life, for the next woman, for the next teenager, young adult, older lady, it's gonna matter more than the guilt and the condemnation. It's not worth it. And God has plans to connect you to people that can help you through this process. And when you're connected to these people, it's so life-changing. he places each individual right where they need to be. So it's worth the healing. It's worth the journey that you take to walk in the path that God has planned for you. It really is.
Yes, it is. And you are proof of that. You are living proof of that. And I will tell you time and time again that I'm so proud of you, and I know God is too. I know He is very pleased with you. And you just, as long as we're walking on this walk, the enemy will continue to come at us because he doesn't want us to do what you're doing. He doesn't want us to bring other people out of dark places into God's marvelous light. But you keep walking, you keep serving, and you keep sharing your testimony as long as God tells you to. And you're just the same as you feel I have been for you. You are now walking that path for other women. And I'm just pleased to be along for the ride with you.
So excited. So happy that we did this finally.
So everyone, like I said, this is Abortion Recovery Awareness Month, and there are abortion recovery programs all around the country, not just mine, which is Daughters Hope Abortion Recovery Ministry. They are at most pregnancy resource centers. If there's one near you, reach out to them. If they don't have one, they'll be able to reach out to one that you could get with. There are online programs. I have online programs. I have in-person programs. And I'm having a retreat coming soon, which will be announcing that. It's not strictly for post-abortion, but I will have people there who are coming because of their abortions, but it will also be other things. But this is the month of being aware of it. And once you are aware of it, I implore you to step out in it. It's time to step out into your healing. And Amber and I are both testimonies of that. So thank you for being here tonight, Amber.
Thank you for having me.
So we are done here for tonight, but I want to say goodbye and for you to remember this. Don't be so uncomfortable with the darkness of your past that you're too fearful to walk into the light of your future. We love y'all. Bye.